Good morning and welcome to another RiderCamTV video, and this video is all about the Sena 10C EVO. Now you remember that Sena very kindly sent them to us so that we could use them in our vlogs, and I tried it out a few weeks ago when we were out riding and we were reviewing a spectacular bike, and the video was really good. But as the time went on and recording went on, it was reflecting an awful lot on the side of the helmet here. So I've had a look at where I can reposition it, and unfortunately, because of the helmet, the K-Berg, what have I got? What am I wearing today? The K-Berg Duke that I've got. Because it's an open face helmet, where the face opens out is about as far as I can get the camera forward. So what I've done is got some black vinyl. It doesn't look very attractive on the helmet, but I've put some black vinyl where I think, just around here, around the front piece, just where I think that the reflection on the camera was starting to appear. Now, I've had a bit of a success, so we'll see how that gets on through the video. See how the recording is affected by different lights and things as we're riding along. But had a bit of a success this morning, so I decided, I don't know why the Sena headset will not work with a Mac. So I plugged the Sena into the computer. Now on the Mac that I've got, it's all USB-C, there's no USB-A or B or anything, it's one of those small little USB-C connections, so I had an adapter so that I could plug it in. Plugged it in, tried again, and it was not recognised by the Sena app for Mac. Real pain. And I thought, well, do you know what? At the moment I'm using a third-party micro USB connection. I used the one out of the box. So I used the one out of the box, started the app up on the Mac, and it immediately said, well, there's an update for this app. So I updated the app, down came that, installed that okay. And then to my surprise, when I plugged in the Sena cable to the Sena unit to the USB-C on the Mac, it then said, recognised. You should have heard the air. I was almost jumping for joy. So as soon as it was recognised, it said that I had a download to version 1.3.1, I think, of the firmware. So chuck that down. That downloaded. It took probably about 5 minutes to update the firmware. And once the firmware was updated, it said that it was completed. I checked all the settings, because you can check most of the settings via the app on the Mac, which is really good. They were all okay, unplugged it, put it on helmet, and what do you know? It all works. It all works fine. Now, it's been a few weeks because of lockdowns and work and all that sort of stuff since I've been out on the bike. And obviously a couple of weeks, or 2 or 3 weeks since I've looked at the manual and looked at this unit. Now, I usually use an Interphone an Interphone Sport or Active, you know, one of the new ones, Avant, that's it, an Interphone Avant. So, got very used to how that works, really like the Interphone. So it took a while for me to get used to exactly how to work this Sena unit. And even though we said in the first review of this camera unit that the real annoyance was the apps, that you had one app for the camera, you had one app for the settings, and then you had to go through the connection every single time, and that hasn't changed. So that's one of my bugbears, really, a bit of my annoyance. And I know that if you're using the GoPro and you're using their GoPro app, you have to connect to it wirelessly and change the settings, and this, I guess, is no different. I'm wondering why they can't do that over Bluetooth, but I'm not a technician, so I don't know. I do find it a little bit cumbersome, and I worked out how to change the settings on the camera. So initially I followed the Sena handy video that they have on YouTube to look at how I reduce the microphone gain, because when we first tried the helmet, I thought that the the sound coming through the microphone, although it was very good, I thought that it was maxing out and it was peaking a little bit, getting a little bit distorted. So I thought there must be a way to sort all this gain out. And I was looking on their video and it showed, oh yeah, you can change the microphone gain. So I set up the app, turned the app on, all connected fine. And could I find where to change that setting? Because it's not in any of the basic settings. You have to be in the video app or the camera app on your phone, connected via Wi-Fi to the Sena unit in order to go into the settings to change anything like the mic, the recording, quality, 4K, 1080p, all that sort of jazz. And I was in that app, or in that part of the app, and I could not for the life of me work out how to change that mic setting. And then it dawned on me that because the camera is recording so that you can then connect to the camera to change the settings, it's not going to do anything while you're actually recording. You've got to have stopped recording in order to change the settings. So once I did that, the two little spanners turned up on the right hand side as an extra menu to select. Went in there and I've reduced the mic gain to low now. It was on medium before. I've slightly moved the microphone adjustment to the left hand side of my face, slightly back, so it's resting in between my lower lip and my chin, whereas before it was right in front of my mouth. So I'm hoping that the adjustments that I've made on it now reflect and show in the video and more importantly the audio quality, that it's actually going to be sorted out and sound much better than the distorted sound that we had before. So let us know what you think in the comments. So I'm just out with my neighbour, we're off out for a ride. He's got a Honda Cross Tourer and he loves it. It's so smooth, the Honda. So we're going to go out for a bit of a ride. I'm going to do a bit of filming, see what happens, see how we get on, see what the quality's like. So we've been riding for a little bit, we filled up with fuel, we're going to go down the North Coast road down in Cornwall. For those of you who know it or have been there, it's a lovely road. Probably a lot of people out and about today, but we'll go and see what it's like. But do you know one thing that we've been riding for a little bit, not very much this morning, but we're off for our ride. One thing that I really do like about this Sena is the fact that you can really feel the buttons. In these gloves, I mean, I wear quite thin gloves, I don't wear thick gloves or anything, but I can actually feel all the buttons and know what I'm pressing and where I'm pressing. Sometimes with the interphone that I've used and use, you just can't feel the buttons sometimes, especially on the new Avant that I've got, because they've changed the style. So the style of it, the buttons are slightly smaller. And the bevel in the middle, the raised part, isn't as pronounced. So it's a little bit harder to find sometimes. But I'm finding on the Sena that it's really easy to find everything that you need to find, which is amazing. The whole operation of the unit is really quick. When I plug in or turn my phone on, or turn the headset on, sorry, the phone literally instantly comes up saying it's connected. And I like the prompts, the voice prompts that you get on this headset as well, that it says hello or goodbye or recording stopped or formatting or failed or whatever it might be, but you're not left it in any area of ambiguity of what the actual thing is doing. I think it's really quite good. So that's quite nice. The frustration for me is a little bit around the apps, to be honest, and I haven't got my head around switching from music to talking to the camera to all of that sort of stuff, because primarily this unit isn't going to be used as a dash cam, but you can set it up so that it's constantly recording all the time. You can have music in the background, you can talk to other people. Now obviously we have yet to do the review of Mark's unit out and about, because there was a fault with the one that was sent to us. So that one that's been sent to us has been replaced. Mark's now got a new one, so in the coming weeks he'll obviously put that on his helmet and get out and about, tell you what he thinks. But I'm quite liking this one. I've really got to get into my head how to switch from music to all the other things. And I don't know why. I mean, I'm a, 40-something? Young 40s, I can hear all of you sniggering now. Young 40s. You know, I've got a tech company, you know, all that sort of stuff, so I'm well versed for tech and stuff. It's not something that I shy away from, but I have found this really quite complicated to get to know the unit. So, you know, the manual, I think the manual's really good. It tries to set it out really simply, but unfortunately for me, it didn't really make it understandable from the very beginning. You know, which button to press, and I know people will think you're just an idiot, Toby, because the diagrams make total sense, and yes they do, but if you're like me and you just jump straight into it, I think this is one of those units that you really do have to take note of and read it through, just so that you know what's going on. And I'm still a little bit confused as to how to switch on to music and switch off of music, because I like riding with my music. So just going to let the camera play for a little bit. Let's see how the recording comes out. It's recording in 2K at the moment, and that's mainly because of the limitations of the hardware that I've got to edit. My MacBook Pro is really good. I'm sure it will do it, but I'm not a fan of stuttering and losing frames when you're editing, and it really does annoy me. And to be honest, unless you've got a super duper computer or internet connection, you're not going to be able to download or watch things at 4K anyway. So I thought I'll go for the middle of the road. 2K will do me just fine, and that is what I am recording in. Hopefully the microphone is recording quite nicely now with the low gain, so I'm hoping that it works. And I'm hoping that on a day like today, it's the beginning of December, lockdown's finished, which is brilliant, we could all get out and about. Fortunately in Cornwall we're in tier 1, so we can get out with not many restrictions. So I'm out with my neighbour, out for a bit of a ride. Sun is shining, there's the odd cloud in the sky, but as we change directions, as you can see here, I mean, it's quite cold, it's 9 degrees. And I want to see how the camera actually copes with the change in light, because you can see the trees are shielding the road from the sun, you know, and when we turn and go into sunlight, how does it actually perform? And the most important thing for me is, because I cannot move the camera or situate the camera anywhere else on my helmet, because it's in the only position that I have room for it to go, it's going to be a little bit difficult if the camera is still having a bit of a wobbly moment every time the film reflects off the helmet. So hopefully with this black strip it will work. So let us know what you think down in the comments below, and I'll just keep the camera running and I'll just add in a couple of bits, and if I think about anything else to say, then I'll say it. You know, we are lucky to live in Cornwall. Look at that. Now that is a beautiful sight to behold. Interesting to see how this camera takes this different light actually, but I'm guessing we're not going to see that until we are in editing. Oh, do you know, it's so nice to be out on the bike. Absolutely amazing to be out on the bike again. Now, normally I would have taken that. Normally I would have taken that overtake there. But the trouble is, it's not dry enough and there's so much mud about. And sod's law, there would have been a bit of mud on the road at that time and it would have just been a little bit too much for me to deal with. I would have come off. So